We're talking Eric Adams making our school system in NYC less safe so that the city can free up more budget for migrants, the influx of migrants. We've got Marvel now under fire, finally, like on another level and actually starting to make changes. And I know it's not necessarily Marvel, it's Disney. You feel me? And I'm definitely going to be breaking down the Marvels. I absolutely saw it. I've got things to say about it. And some science. We've got a little astrophysics stuff going on regarding the Big Bang, the inception of our universe. So stay tuned, y'all. It's a Social Millennial podcast. We out here, gang. You feel me? If y'all know what it is, y'all know what it is. If y'all don't know what it is, then y'all about to find out. This is Social Millennial podcast, a podcast, a vibe out, a chill session. You feel me? Where y'all will just get to listen to me muse about what I've gone through during the week, some wisdoms, some failures, some triumphs, some praise reports, some testimonies. I like to talk about things that just interest me generally during the week, things that have been going on. Sometimes it's politics, sometimes it's science, sometimes it's movies, sometimes it's sports. And you know, that's what we do here. We kind of chill. Y'all can skip around if y'all want. But thank you so much. Welcome back. Now, we didn't do a big thing for episode 50. I kind of didn't even realize it was episode 50 until I edited the video and uploaded and was like, oh snap, it's episode 50 episodes in. Not going to do a whole big thing for 50, even though it is a thing for people to commit to a podcast, commit to content for 50 iterations is a thing. We're definitely going to do something for episode 100. It's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big thing. I'm definitely going to do something different with the podcast, with the presentation, really out of the box. I'm planning it from now, even though it's like 100 weeks from now. It may not necessarily be 100 weeks from now because the Patreon is coming together. Bonus episodes, multiple episodes a week, movie reviews, maybe some reactions. We might do some TikTok reactions. We might do some IG Reels reactions. It's going to be a grab bag. So just know that there's going to be more content. So we're going to get to episode 100 a little faster than one would think, considering that we do one a weeks. You feel me? Now, thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for spending this time. I do my best to profusely thank all of y'all who take the time out of your day, take the time out of your night, take the time out of your workout, take the time out of your commute, take the time out of your sit down, take the time out of your DMV visit, to just sit down and listen to the podcast or watch. For those of y'all watching, we are all over the place. So for those who are first timers, also, welcome to y'all. Thank you. Whatever brought you here, whether it was a friend, whether it was an advertisement, whether it was just the algorithm, thank you so much for coming. Your time, even if it's 10, 20 seconds viewing or watching. What am I talking about? Viewing or listening, it means a lot. It's much appreciated. Thank you so much. I know sometimes the things that we talk about, sometimes the things that I bring up, the sort of thoughts or the subject matter that I want to talk about, the things that interest me, sometimes may not interest you in certain portions of the show. But thank you so much for coming anyway, and keep coming back. You feel me? Now, again, for the newbies, we are on YouTube at Social Millennial Pod, and I figured it out, cracked the code. If you put in the YouTube search at, the ampersand, is it ampersand? No, I forget the name of the symbol, but the at ampersand is something else. The at symbol and Social Millennial Pod in the YouTube search. So at symbol, social, SOCIAL, millennial, MILLENIAL, pod, POD. It's going to bring you right to the channel. So that's how you get there quick. You won't have to deal with writing out the Social Millennial Podcast, or just writing in Social Millennial Pod and then going through the extra step of YouTube asking you, did you mean this? Is this actually what you meant? What you wrote? Like, my nigga, yes, I wrote it. That's what I meant. You don't have to go through that step. It'll take you right there. You put in the search bar at Social Millennial Pod, and you're going to see the channel. So y'all, check it out. Visual component. All right. Like, subscribe, follow, do all the YouTube things that show us that you like this content, or that you believe in the development of this content, or you believe in me as a person, whatever it may be. For those who are new, if you're watching and you're new, we have an audio component to this as well. So if y'all don't have the time to sit down and watch, you might have the time to just have me going on in the background when you're cooking your arroz con gandules. You feel me? When you're cooking your burgers, when you're cooking your penne alla vodka. Yeah. You can just put it on the background. All right. We are available on Google Podcasts. We are available on Apple Podcasts. We are available on Spotify Podcasts. We are available on Radio Public and a few other places. So most likely where you listen to your podcasts at, you can find us. And for those who are old school and don't mess with the apps at all, even if it's free, they just don't want to finagle with that. Maybe you're on a computer or desktop and you don't finagle with none of that stuff. There is a link down in the description. It's going to be the word homepage. Sometimes it's homepage with a link, but sometimes that word homepage will be clickable depending on where you're at. And that will take you to a landing page where you can listen to all of the episodes. 100% listen to everything from episode 1 until now. It also has the links there for Facebook, Instagram, etc., and any of the other platforms. But if you're old school, you want to go online, you want to be on your desktop, that's what you do. All right. You'll just click on that and it'll take you right there. Bookmark it, get the notifications, call it a day. Oh, and don't forget, y'all, on YouTube, please hit that notification bell icon so that y'all can get notified. Hopefully, if YouTube feels like it, y'all can get notified as to when I post on this channel. Like, subscribe, comment, give the reviews, give me star ratings, follow on Spotify, whatever place that you listen to this or watch this, absolutely tap that heart, tap that follow. All right. Because it will give us information. We want to know where y'all are consuming this product the most. So we can maybe cater a little bit more to those platforms. You feel me? Now that we got that out of the way, no, we did not get that out of the way, because the least that y'all can do to support this channel, give us a few seconds of a view, like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the notification bell, give us a star rating, give us a review. I think Spotify is doing reviews too. That's what y'all could do for free. You can support. Just support is a click away. But if y'all are so inclined to bless the IP, bless the product, christen and anoint the project, y'all could definitely go down in the description. Same kind of deal. Some places the word merch shop or merch exclamation point will be clickable, or tappable. Other places it will say merch shop, and then under it will be a link. You could tap or click that link. Follow that and go to our merch store. All right, y'all, we have a lot of sales going on. 40% off, 45% off coming into Black Friday, coming into November, getting ready for Christmas. We've got everything from shirts, mugs, travel mugs, tumblers, right? Phone cases. All right. We've got oil paintings. Yeah. We've got everything, dog. Everything. Banners, pillows, you name it. You want something with the Social Millennial Podcast logo on it. You want to anoint, you want to put that rubber stamp on this product, absolutely head over to the merch shop. We're gonna hook you up. And it's presented in a little bit of an unconventional way. When you get there, you will see the t-shirts first. So what you do is that you hit that drop down menu. It's a little like thing that says t-shirts, and then you hit that little arrow down, and you can cycle through everything. You want, if you want your cup, you can just cycle through it, hit cup, and see our designs there. We have, if I'm not mistaken, we've got onesies for babies too. So pick it up. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but it's worth a look, which is my point. Y'all want to bless us a little bit more. Y'all want to get us to where we want to go, develop this product, develop this show, develop just the banner into greater and greater things, aside from liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, hitting the notification bell, giving a review, giving a star rating. You can also do that. All right, y'all. So now that we got that out of the way, we've got all the bill pays out of the way. How are y'all doing? Because I'm doing good. I can't complain, as a mentor of mine says. I cannot complain. I'm here. I'm in front of the camera once more. I have the ability to vibe out with y'all one more time, and I'm very grateful for it. I'm very grateful every time that I get to vibe out with y'all. I'm doing good. The strike is over. I'm not going to go too in depth on that, but just the strike is over. Yay! We'll see, or I should say over. We'll see, given the process that the contract has to go through. We hope that it's good enough, and we hope that it's pleasing enough, and that it gets ratified as soon as possible, so that we can get back to work and everything can kind of move. But yes, it is a step in the direction of we can get back to work. You feel me? So I'm happy about it because I've already been getting my notifications. The sort of grapevine has started to bear fruit again, or is starting to bear fruit and bear buds again, on my acting side, on my on-camera side, and I've been getting my notifications, been able to submit to certain productions that are starting to gear up to continue again. So I am very grateful for that. So I'm feeling good. I've got a gig at the end of the week playing drums. You feel me? Hitting it up. So I'm feeling good. This Sunday, I'm going to be doing some music that is really close to my heart. And it's going to be not so much a leap for me, but a leap for the team and a leap for the audience. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm excited for it. So I'm hype, y'all. I'm hype. I'm enjoying life. Yeah. I hope y'all are doing well. I hope y'all are going out there and getting it. When the getting's good and when the getting's not good. I hope y'all are out there. We say NYC, get out there, grind. You feel me? You feel me, homie? Grind it out. Ain't nobody made them ducats without grinding it out. But I hope y'all are getting everything that you need. And if you're not, I hope that you are able to find what you need, are able to understand why you're not getting it, and go out there and get it. All right. Now, going into stories, I'm gonna leave the Marvels and the Marvel stuff till last, because that's what I'll probably talk on the most. There's a few aspects of Marvel, of what's going on right now, which was kind of predictable. But I'm going to talk about the Marvels. There will be spoilers about this movie. All right, y'all. In the future, I will relegate my deeper reviews to a dedicated video on the Patreon. So that'll be a thing. All right, y'all. We're developing. But let's talk about some science things first. Then we'll get to Eric Adams. Science things. So, don't know how much y'all know about dark matter and this kind of semi-new theory of dark matter and the existence of dark matter in the universe as almost sort of like a pseudo web of gravitational or pseudo web of matter. And we think it's matter because it acts on celestial bodies gravitationally. So we're like, oh, okay, then there must be something there that's making the ordinary matter that we know behave in the ways that they have been behaving, that are that fall outside of the quantifiable equations that we have for them. So certain celestial bodies behaving in ways that they shouldn't, based on everything else around it behaving as we understood it should be behaving. The existence of certain galaxies or certain kinds of galaxies existing, given their speed of its bodies, celestial bodies, kind of shouldn't be a thing, because they should kind of be flung out of orbit. It's wild. Let me just say this. Let me pause. I had these theories regarding gravitational forces, and I'm sorry, I know I didn't publish papers. I had these theories and these questionings regarding our current astrophysical model and our current equational models way back before I started college. For those who don't know, I was an engineering major. For those who don't know, that was not a joke. Like it was a lot. It was a lot. I was an engineering major. It was the thing. Most people would think, oh, you were in music, you were entertainment, you were this. I wanted to be. There's a story about that. I can lament and talk about that on another podcast, on another episode. But I was an engineering student, not for super duper long, but I was an engineering major. The course load was very tough. It was a special program between two universities. It was a dual degree program. So we're talking not sort of getting degrees in two different things, but not technically double majoring kind of a deal. So it was this new experimental thing that these two universities, these two major universities had going on. It was an interesting pilot program that they had just started. But I was an engineering major and super into physics. Super just everything. If you think calculus, physics, everything you could think about engineering is what I had to do. It was a rough time of my life. Let's say that. It was a rough time of my life. That was a lot of classes. That was a lot of information. And I still had to take classes on top of the college level courses. I still had to take other courses to make up for some of my lacking in courses and coursework in high school, because my school didn't offer certain things in mathematics that I needed to have. So I still had to do that in college. So I was taking that coursework plus this sort of double major coursework that wasn't really double major. Strange. So I had theories like this I had not put together dark matter yet. And even at that point, dark matter wasn't even a thing in the theoretical landscape. It wasn't a prevalent thing, the idea of dark matter. And then I remember, man, before college, it was the summer program. And I was arguing with the physics professor. And this dude is an astrophysics guy from the university that I went to. It was a summer program at the university, or run by the university that I was going to go to. And let me tell you, the arguments, the drawings on the board, the illustrations, like, no, if gravitational forces are doing this over time, if it's going fast enough, it's going to spin out. Why does it not leave? If its orbit is free fall, is a constant free fall, and you reach sort of a terminal velocity, I guess, in the constant free fall around a spherical object, when is the point that object is going to just careen off, eventually breaking the orbit and then careening off? Oh no, that just doesn't happen. It stays in a perpetual equilibrium. Nah, B. Oh my gosh. It's just back then I didn't have the coursework, the astrophysics coursework, to be able to dive deep into my challenges. So it was sort of a logical challenge at that point, a logical question that I was putting forward, and he was just like, this is the way it is. This is just the model that we have now, the equational model that we have now, based on what physics is at this point, calculus and physics is, and it just is like this. It achieves a balance and then just continues for forever. And I was like, nah, I can't. There has to be circumstances where it breaks out, where it's going to eventually break out of orbit, just given the rules of physics and motion and gravity, etc., and mass. So fast forward over time, dark matter. We call it dark because we can't really see it all the way. It's black. It's in the void of space. And if dark matter is a thing, because it's still a theory of dark matter, it's still theoretical. If dark matter is a thing, is an actual matter, like a thing, there's more dark matter in the universe than there is ordinary matter, which is matter that we know. Excuse me. That's how abundant that it would be should it exist. And we're using dark matter and the properties that dark matter, should it exist, seems to have, the effects that it seems to have on gravitational forces, to be able to try to explain away why certain celestial bodies don't conform to equations. They're not behaving the way that the numbers say that they're supposed to be behaving. Things are moving too fast to be able to stay in orbit. Things are moving too fast to be able to sustain and stay together. So something must be tethering these things together, or there must be something between them acting on them gravitationally so that they can continue in their orbital paths. And that goes for galaxies. The previous few episodes, I talked about scientific discoveries through the James Webb Telescope involving the black hole at the center of our galaxy, and another discovery, or a discovery that would that births more research and study into it to prove what's happening or try to figure out what's going on. Stars that are very young, that are close to the center of our galaxy, that they shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be there and that young. The center of our galaxy spinning at a certain kind of speed that it kind of doesn't make sense that it's going that fast. And it doesn't make sense that the galaxy is tethered in the way that it is, the Milky Way, with the center sections going so quickly. So here I am feeling a little bit vindicated. This is a theory. Dark matter is a theory. But kind of like, yeah, this is the stuff I was talking about. There has to be something else. Because my point when I was challenging this astrophysics professor who was doing physics with us, and it was the first time that I had really gotten to take a physics class in this program, which I loved. I loved it. My point being that there has to be something else that explains this. It's not just a mass. It's not just gravitational forces tethered to mass. That it's got to be something else, other things happening here, other forces, other phenomena happening here that we can't yet quantify, that we don't yet understand. Because the model, as it had been at that time, as I had been exposed to it, it just seemed lacking. It seemed like there were things missing. There's another part to this story that we don't have, kind of a deal. And here we are now. Scientists looking for the part of the story that I had hypothesized about, that I had kind of reasoned through, was missing. Now science has caught up and said, yeah, there's kind of something missing here, because there's a bunch of stuff happening, or a bunch of things in our universe that do things that we don't have equations for, or that our equations should be able to predict what this thing's going to do, but it doesn't do that. It behaves in ways that are so totally different than everything else that we've seen so far in the galaxy. So I say that I went off on a tangent. But science-wise, research-wise, discovery-wise, a new theory has been presented regarding dark matter and the Big Bang, the creation of our universe, and basically where dark matter came from, or more specifically, when it came from. The how and the when. Now, it's going to take a bunch of years to be able to try to prove this theory, but I think it's worth proving. I mean, a whole section of the scientists are dedicated, especially physics, astrophysics, etc., dedicated to trying to get a little bit more detail, trying to get a little bit more insight into the inception of our universe as we know it. And so this theory suggests that dark matter and ordinary matter may not have been tethered together in their creation, in their initial creation, their existing first day. They may not have necessarily had to have been burst into existence at the same time. That dark matter might have been, or could have been, a little later. It could have developed a little later. Sort of the glue, gravitational glue that has our universe the way that it is, may have developed a little after. And so part of this, or where the story has to begin regarding this theory, is in understanding what do scientists mean when we say, like, I'm a scientist. Watch me, look at me go. I'm not a scientist, y'all. I'm not. But what do they mean when we talk about the Big Bang? What was that process? So far, as far as we understand it, theoretically, our universe, or whatever it had been before the universe as we know it, was as small, or was smaller than an atom, and then expanded in, less than a second. Millipico nanoseconds, expanded into the size of a football field. In that time, pico nanosecond, faster than the speed of light. In that time of expansion, we call it inflation, right? It's the inflation period, right? And so in the inflation period of expansion, to get to that football field size, we get the building blocks of our ordinary matter that we know. And when that inflation period ends, is where we get the hot plasmas, and we get a lot of the building blocks of what would come together to become stars, galaxies, etc. And so when we get to that end of that inflation period, that's what scientists mean when we say the Big Bang. Right at that stage of the end of the inflation period is the Big Bang. And so original theory was that inflation period, from smaller than an atom to a football field, ordinary matter and dark matter get created, right? Ordinary matter get created, and they were talking about vacuum energy is what then forced that inflation to that size, and that vacuum energy dissipated, and then we get everything that we get all the way up to this point. But that dark matter and ordinary matter, related to each other gravitationally, formed at the same time, right? The new theory that will have to be tested, says that maybe that's not the case. That maybe it is that it's questioning that maybe it is that we got ordinary matter, and that vacuum energy for that inflation, that there may have been two separate vacuum energies, the dark vacuum and our conventional vacuum energy, in that inflation to create that kind of inflation. And if that was the case, two separate, then ordinary matter and dark matter may not have been tethered together in their inception. It could have been ordinary matter first, and then a second Big Bang to create, or to have in existence, this dark vacuum energy that would create dark matter. Now it will have to be tested, etc. It will have to be, and according to the article, we have the technology to do so. It will just take a few years to be able to test if that's true. At this point, what is being hypothesized and theorized about dark matter is relegated to dark matter, or dark matter's only effect on ordinary matter is gravitational. This sort of research, or trying to prove this theory, could lead down the road of, or down the thinking, or could result in us understanding that should dark matter exist, it may act in our universe. It may act on ordinary matter in our universe and in the void in our universe in ways other than gravitational. And if that's the case, then a lot of the research that's being done right now regarding the existence of dark matter, research that's on dark matter right now, would fail, because it's all based on dark matter acting on our universe, acting on the matter, the ordinary matter in our universe in a gravitational way solely. We don't understand it to work any other way or affect things any other way. So yeah, really interesting theory to be tested, postulation, to be tempered. What do y'all think in the comments? Because we have yet to really prove if dark matter is a real thing, like is a thing in our universe, is a thing that exists. It's our theory now to try to fill in the blanks of our, I want to say equation library, but our current models, current astrophysical models of our universe and how it works. There were holes, like I thought there were, and we've got to fill in those blanks because right now we don't have the equations. Like we don't have the savants, like Pythagoras. We don't have the savants like Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking. We don't have our savants to come in and now create a whole new branch of sciences, or a whole new to rewrite the book on the astrophysical model. So we've got to figure out the huge gaping hole in why certain celestial bodies are doing these things that we don't yet have the math for. So yeah, what do y'all think about it? What are your thoughts about the workings of our universe? Let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. I'd love to start a discussion about it. It's interesting stuff to me. Moving on. Eric Adams, NYC. We are in NYC. I want to say some wild stuff about Eric Adams, but I'm going to keep it to myself. When the Patreon drops and I get the bonus episode that's going to be Patreon only, you're going to hear me say some wildness. It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. I'm going to make sure to put in those titles explicit, wildness. I'll probably say that. I'll probably put it in brackets. Wildness. But Eric Adams, y'all. So I talked about how these niggas is gaslighting us. Hochul and Adams have been persistently gaslighting us. Regarding the migrant crisis, regarding the influx of migrants, right? And Eric Adams talking about, oh, this is a crisis now. There's no way to get out of it now. We need federal funding now because this is a crisis. This is an emergency. Even though, and I say gaslighting because these are the same niggas that were on TV, national television, telling everybody, send them here. We will take you. Give us your tired, your poor. That's what we're here for. We're here. Give us your tired, your poor. Bust them over here. We got them. Don't worry. You'll be free you'll find freedom here. Nigga. They sent them here. And now, after you asked them to send them, Eric Adams and Hochul we need federal funding. This is an emergency. This is an emergency. We're not going to get out of this. It's only going to get worse from here. Adams, you made it this way. You said, send me your tired, your poor. They're here now, nigga. What are we going to do about it? No plan. Now, in previous episodes, I talk about what my theory is politically regarding why they would do something like this. Why they really don't give a damn about the city. They don't really give a damn about none of us. They don't care about the citizenry. It's about their political ladder climbing. It's really not about us. The political agenda, it's about appeasing the powers that be so that they can get lifted and approved so they can go to the next level. Because off of these failings, politicians 9 times out of 10 fail up. And it's like, how, dog? How do you have a job and a job description where the people who have this job consistently across the board, I don't care what political party you affiliate yourself with, we're talking about, will more likely than not fail up. Powers that be, donors, sponsors, etc. But this story, because Eric Adams is already under investigation, we talked about that last week. Y'all can go check that episode out. This time, Eric Adams now, because it was going to be inevitable. If the Biden administration didn't free up, if the Biden administration didn't free up federal funds in order to help New York regarding infrastructure in immigration and immigration and trying to sort of get these people processed, et cetera, and move it along, it was inevitable that city funding was going to be cut for city programs in order to have more funding to continue to help the migrants. Y'all, we got to help the migrants. It doesn't matter that that we can't track them and they have no IDs, yo. It doesn't matter if them niggas jump you. Like, you probably deserved it because you live in New York and you've had a better life than them. So, if they come to jump you, let them jump you. Like, what does this nigga want? Because he wants to say, oh, crime is low. That's not going to last for very long, my guy. There's certain blocks, and I hadn't really shared these stories that were on the news. There are certain blocks here in New York City that is just migrants, and it's Mad Max, dog. Mad Max. Post-apocalyptic. Stealing cars, driving cars, no license. License plate is from somebody else because they stole the car. Like, wildness. And I'm not a person who's advocating to hurt anybody else. Not a person who's necessarily advocating for like some kind of get these beaners out of here, go back to your country where you belong. Like, no. That's not where I'm coming from when I say these things. I'm coming from the place of we should be able to help people, but not at the expense of the citizenry. So like someone from somewhere else comes in and we make a plan and we have a way to receive them that doesn't then have to negatively impact all of the people who are here legally, all of the other immigrant people who were immigrants that went through the process, even though the process is trash and the whole thing needs to be overhauled. Let's say that a side note, whole thing has to be overhauled. It is trash. I don't understand. Someone is benefiting from the immigration system being trash. I don't know who yet. I haven't created the political theory for that yet. I haven't started doing my room full of just covered up pictures on the walls and like red string going. I haven't done all of that yet for that. I haven't went down the rabbit hole for that. But somebody's benefiting because there's no reason why that process should have continued to exist in shambles for the past 40, 50 years. It's insane how trash, convoluted, backed up the immigration process is. It is a damn shame. It is a blight on the American government. A blight. So let's just say that on a side note. But it shouldn't be that we help people or have a desire, have a heart, because I say quote unquote, because these niggas don't have a heart. They're not really doing this to help anybody but themselves, but enrich themselves. Eric Adams is enriching himself. Hochul is enriching herself. Let's not get it twisted. Let's not get it twisted. These niggas is doing this for them. It's not for Latino people. It's not for immigrants, because it's not just Latino people. It's Africans coming too. It's people from a whole bunch of other countries that come up through the Mexican border, because the Mexican border is weaker than the northern border, the Canadian border. It's much more difficult for them to get into Canada and then try to come down from Canada into the United States. Much more difficult. Much more difficult. It's easier. And part of that sort of solubility is because of the American government. We sell guns to the cartels. Let's keep it a buck. Okay? It's just been what is historical. It has been the historical relationship between the cartels at the border and the American government. We sell them guns, they give us drugs. Don't shoot the messenger. So it's a lot of different races. Historically, this isn't a new thing. A lot of different races from a lot of different countries try to get into the country illegally through the southern border. That just is what it is. It should not be that if we have a heart for helping people, that we have to do it at the expense of the people who are working their ass off where they're at now and not even doing well. Not even doing well. Most of us are living paycheck to paycheck in New York City. And it doesn't matter if you're below the poverty line. It doesn't matter if you're middle class. That's what's happening. Most people are paycheck to paycheck. They have families and they're living paycheck to paycheck. Property taxes have gone up. Rent has gone up. The resources have gone up beyond everyone's means. Wages have not gone up to meet those needs. The means have not risen for that. We already don't have certain public services funded the way that they should be to do the most help for the citizenry. And the article that I have in the description, our story today, is that Eric Adams is going specifically to the school system. That's what we're going to talk about today. That's what I'm going to bring up with this article. To the school system, that we're going to lean on parents more. So parents, start getting yourself geared up to help with the schools and personnel in the school system, because we have to cut the budget for security officers, safety officers in schools, so that we can free up. We need to free up the budget, y'all. We got to free up the budget to continue to have these migrants live in 5-star hotels. We have to increase the budget so that we can continue to give them to continue to extend the food stamps to them, even though they have no social security number, even though they have no ID, they have no green card. So they deserve to get more SNAP if they're a family, to get 3 times more than a family that's here, that needs it, that is meant for. They deserve it because the journey that they took to come here, they deserve it because they're people of color. But Eric Adams, don't you understand that doing that hurts a lot of people of color? No. That's not true. That's not true. He goes article. Like, he's not ever gonna let it happen that schools are not gonna be safe. Nigga, this nigga smoking. A 25% decrease in safety officers. That's lower counts of safety officers than pre-COVID. And he's trying to now go, we need the parents to volunteer to be safety officers when we're coming to pick up the kids. Nigga. So that they have more budget for the immigration crisis. He wasn't even specific about what the budget cut is, what it's going to go to specifically regarding that. It just says, oh no, for the migrants, to help the migrants. Nigga. And what's wild, was a crazy kicker, is that what's wild in terms of gaslighting and like kind of just, he's just going to say the things that he's saying and do the things that he's doing regardless of the reality that we're living in, because he doesn't give a goddamn about us. He does not care about this city at all. is that most of the niggas that applied to work here, of the migrants, are not eligible to work still. They didn't meet the criteria. They didn't hand in the proper paperwork. And even then, the niggas that actually applied to work here legally, that quantity of people, the quantity of applications, it represents a tiny percentage of the amount of people that are here. Most of the migrants that are here and that have come here to New York, that Eric Adams has allowed to live in 5-star hotels and has allowed to put a greater strain on the system, that has allowed to take over the homeless shelter system, basically denying families and the homeless and those who need mental help or mental health fortification, denying all of them that need it, for which these programs were created. All of them migrants don't even care to apply to work here, to somehow get on a path or some type of a journey now regarding paperwork to become, maybe get a green card, maybe get a visa, maybe get something. They're here not applying for anything, just expecting Eric Adams, expecting Biden to set them up. Thank you, Biden. Is this part of Bidenomics? Is this this must be one of the parts down on the tree of Bidenomics, right? Is this the trickle down effect? What is it? Talk to me. Right? Because Bidenomics is a thing. They even had banners made and he would give speeches and Bidenomics would be in the background. The words like, nigga, what is this? They showed up expecting you to just hand them a green card, hand them a social security card and say, okay, you're good. Go ahead, do your thing. It's never been that way. So now I got all these niggas out here in Manhattan on lines looking wild. Like when I say looking wild, I mean like the scene is, starting to look post-apocalyptic. Like we're not San Francisco, y'all. We're not San Diego. But yeah, so he's talking about we're cutting. It's not even like we're going to a ratification. We're cutting. Like it's not even we're looking into it. Is that we're cutting. That's it. We're cutting the funding for school safety officers, which we're already in a deficit, which we needed more. We're cutting the funding. So now you're going to have to step up now, parents. You're going to have to bring it to where you guys are the school safety agents on a volunteer, like y'all volunteering. Like for what? For what? Why would parents do that by and large? What? And then also speak out of both sides of his mouth talking, we're cutting it, but then I'm not going to let it happen where the schools are not going to be safe. That's not going to happen. That's not a thing. I'm like, are you bugging right now? Like, what does he think is going to happen? And now again, we pick the brain of Eric Adams. There's no need to do that. We already know this nigga don't care. We already know this is not a means to solve problems. This is a means to protect political optics. Because at this point, whatever the agenda was supposed to be, the plan was supposed to be for bringing the migrants in and just saying, oh, yo, give us your charge report and just bring them in without any kind of infrastructure to receive them. Instead of a plan, instead of a thing, just bring them. And the agenda is we're a sanctuary city, so we're going to look good and we're going to get votes, et cetera, et cetera. And because that's the agenda, probably the federal government has a plan for this because Biden is kind of saying this too, to let everybody come in and so on. No, nobody is illegal. There's no such thing as an illegal human. There's no such thing. They were using all of that rhetoric even from before. And so the agenda has changed, or the agenda's attention has moved from the immigrants to other things. And so now New York, Hochul and Adams are now caught with their pants down because federal government is not going to help you. Biden doesn't want to hear it. Biden doesn't want to meet with Adams. They tried. They've been petitioning. They've been calling. They're making calls. Nothing's going on because Biden, or at the very least, his puppets, his handlers, because he's a puppet. This is Weekend at Bernie's. Our president is Weekend at Bernie's. He's not really running anything. And that's a whole other podcast that I can go into super depth with. And y'all might think, oh, tinfoil hat, Marcus, tinfoil hat, right? But when you have the press secretary having to come in and basically put words in the president's mouth in order to try to make the stuff that he's saying make sense, because when he talks in front of the people and even with a teleprompter, he can't really read it all the way. He can't really process what he's saying all the way. And it's wild that he just says what he says and just continues on. Cognitive decline, y'all. Cognitive decline. This dude is the president as a puppet. If y'all can't, I don't care what political affiliation y'all are with, our president is a puppet. He's not really making decisions. Other people are making decisions, and he's parroting what the best decisions to make are. Like they're saying, we're going to do this. This is what it is. Read off of this. This is what it is, which is why he doesn't take questions that are not already pre-screened and pre-vetted from the press. Any other president that does that in another country, if Russia did that, we would say, of course Putin does that, because it's a police state. Of course he does that. Because he's trying to intimidate the people. He wants to push his own narrative, so he controls the media. Of course. You know, President Xi in China, if he does something like that, please submit your questions in advance so that we can vet the questions that you're going to ask, and so that we can prepare pre-prepared answers to them that the president will then read out. If President Xi did that in China, well, of course he's going to do that. He's communist. They control the media. There's no free thought. There's no free speech. He doesn't want the hard questions to be asked because he doesn't want to expose what's happening. Actually, doesn't want to be clear about it. But you got those individuals, and I'm not, I don't hate y'all, but you got those individuals that are like, nah, President Biden's good. He's fine. He's good. He's fine. That's okay that he does pre-screen. No, pre-screen questions. Whenever he went, they learned it. His handlers learned, whoever's running behind him learned that when he takes off the cuff questions, he says wildness, sometimes racist wildness. And that was happening during the campaign. He was saying racist stuff, like all the way racist, and not even batting an eye. When he tells Charlemagne, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Are you for real? To a black man? Let me fall back. I'm starting to get a little ranty. All right. Clearly I have a lot to say about that. I have so much more. The audacity. Anyway, let's rewind. So Eric Adams is now caught with his pants down. All these people here, no infrastructure. And instead of taking the L, because he doesn't want to take the L, remember, he's trying to social climb. He's trying to climb the ladder of his political party so that he can get the clout, maybe one day to run for president, maybe one day to deal with or have dealings with a lobby that he can make a whole bunch of money off of. Political climbing. This is about political climbing. It's about optics. It's not about the people. It's not about running the city. It's not about loving the city. It's not about making sure people are safe, making sure children are safe. He doesn't give a goddamn. As long as the numbers are there, the numbers are there. He'll do what he needs to do to make sure that the numbers are there for him. If it helps people, it happens to help people. If it doesn't help people, then it doesn't help people. So he's caught with his pants down and doesn't want the bad optics. It's already horrible optics, but he's being counseled to not make the optics worse by sending them back. Send them back. Get the authorization, whatever you need to do to send them back across the border and wait over there. He doesn't want to do that, even though it's hurting New Yorkers. And when I say hurting New Yorkers, I don't mean, oh, they're taking the jobs that we should have and they're invading. No. Hurting New Yorkers by sapping the public services that were designed to help New Yorkers in need, and that we're in the process of actively helping New Yorkers, whether housed or unhoused, children, feeding children, housing families, housing single mothers, having benefit to be able to make sure that those children are fed and aren't starving, making sure that they have the resources that they need. Systems that were actively helping New Yorkers, we now have to take them away. So that's what I mean. And I'm not necessarily blaming the migrants. Please do not get me wrong. I say these things in this way because the migrants are existing here and this is what's happening. But I don't blame them because Eric Adams said, come here. I'm not blaming them because Biden said, come here. I will open up the border. It's not open borders. Yeah, but dude, it's like millions of people have crossed over. No, it's not open borders. Gaslighting. So I don't blame them. Biden said come, so they came. Eric Adams said come, so they came. I don't blame them as a people. I don't blame them for wanting to be here. Many want to be here for many different reasons. I'm not also blanketly saying that everyone's coming here for the most altruistic reasons. But I can't blame them for coming because our border was left our border has been soluble, has been permeable. It has had holes. People have for long time come through into our borders illegally, under the cover of night and snuck in and things like that. That is a thing that has existed. This is not a new thing, but Biden's policies, I should say the Biden administration's policies. Because again, Biden is a puppet. This is Weekend at Bernie's, y'all. Weekend at Bernie's. They got somebody who would do and say whatever they wanted him to do and say. He's a dancing monkey. That's all he is. And the proof is there. The proof is there. Don't get it twisted. Is there. Too much dumb stuff has happened. Too much dumb stuff has come out of that guy's mouth. And when I say dumb stuff, I don't mean like Trump-esque bravado and things like that. I mean like this dude making decisions that are so contradictory that hurt so many people, so many boots on the ground, and just like, oh yeah, we did that and we did what we had to do and then on to the next thing. That's what I mean. People could talk. Words are words. But when those words or those people have to make decisions for the country, and not just for our country, but for other countries, other places are affected by this guy's buffoonery and his weakness. And it's not even his buffoonery. It's not even his weakness. He's just being what he's being. He's playing the game of being a president, just saying what they want him to say. He doesn't really have original thoughts. When he does show that he has original thoughts, he goes off the rails crazy, like wild, and doesn't come back. He goes off the rails and doesn't come back. My guy repeats himself. There's a great channel on YouTube called Don't Walk Run. Please go subscribe, watch that channel. This dude compiles all of Biden being wild. And I say all of this about Biden being wild, Biden having issues. It is not that I think any other president is popular, because I know a lot of people do the like, if you're not for Biden, then you must be for Trump. No one is perfect. That's not where I'm coming from here. Everyone's going to make a mistake. They're going to make a faux pas. They're going to make a blunder here and there. But for Biden himself, it is every single speech, every single outing. It's one thing to like, oh, once in a while he'll like, oh, it's, a president says the wrong name for something once in a while. Biden can't get anyone's name right. There are points where Biden is in countries and doesn't even remember what country he's in. There are points where he doesn't remember what country that he's in and thinks that he's in a different country than the country that he's in. He there's points where he calls the dignitaries that he's speaking to by the names of other people from other countries. And consistently. This isn't like once in a while. This is like once every 6 months. He has a rigorous schedule. Every time. He can't even get members of his own cabinet's names right. He can't get senators' names right. There's actions that he does, like physically moving on stages and things. And I don't mean the tripping. I mean, in the White House, saluting someone who's won a Purple Heart and who's won, and then not waiting to do the photo ops that he's supposed to do, and just kind of walking out, not even off the side, but just walking in the middle of the crowd away, like while everybody's there taking pictures and like inexplicable things every time. So that for those of y'all who might think, oh, you're just bashing because you this and you like Trump or you like, no. If you just look at what Biden is doing, keep track of it. That's the thing too. Media is set up for us to not really keep track of all of these things. If you haven't realized, when Trump was in office, they were tracking Trump up, down, left, right, center. Every outlet was tracking 24-hour Trump watch. What is he saying now? What is he doing now? What is this now? What is he that now? But I bet you didn't know that 95% of the time, Biden is saying the wrong things, calling people by the wrong names, reading out the wrong names for reporters, taking questions when he's not supposed to take questions, and then saying nonsense when he takes the questions. Has trouble reading from the teleprompter, has trouble reading from printed page in front of him, repeats himself when he goes off of the cuff to do certain, he'll go off in and say stories at inappropriate times, not read the room most of the time. A lot of y'all probably didn't know the ratio at all. But there are people who track this, and there are people who watch, and there are people that are paying attention to every single speech that he gives. And if you go to Don't Walk Run, you will find a lot of those compilations. And they're not compilations that are 2 years worth of content. It's compilations that are worth 2 months of Biden talking on a microphone. So just to dispel that. This is just Biden analysis. This isn't no like, oh, Trump is better, blah, 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 blah. No. We could talk about that in another podcast if y'all want. That's not what I'm talking about. Anyway, coming back, Eric Adams doesn't give a goddamn. So he's going to go, instead of sending them, because he don't want that. He don't want those optics, because he's going to look like a complete failure. It's going to destroy his chances. He's going to make Democrats look like, he's going to make the Democrat agenda and establishment, the progressive establishment, look like fools. They're probably going to label him as a Trump supporter, as a Trumpy. They're gonna label him as all this bigoted nonsense when that's not the case, because they want to use all of these words, all of these buzzwords to get clicks, and use all these buzzwords to be part of their little groups and jerk each other off. Oh yeah, he's a bigot. Yeah, he is a bigot. Yeah, he is. Even though that's not what the word means, and even though the person is not being that. So they feel like they have a sense of belonging because maybe they were young kids and they were like ostracized or something and didn't belong with anyone. So now they want to feel like they're part of the cool kids because they're, you know what I'm saying? It's just humans are human. They're just being people. But he knows all that's going to happen. If he goes, listen, the brass tacks and the truth is we do not have it in the budget to continue to house you. We do not have it in the budget to continue to give you the benefits that we've been giving you in more abundant senses, in more abundance than in more portion than we would normally give to our own citizenry. We cannot do this. It's untenable anymore. And just on the face or standing 10 toes down on the fact that y'all, the migrants, y'all are not filling out these applications that we're giving you so that y'all could get put on the track for asylum and y'all could get put on the track to eventually get a visa or something. Just on the strength of that alone, goodbye, y'all. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. Because this city still has to continue to run. It still has to continue to work. The cogs still have to move. And if we keep y'all here any longer, we don't have the money to keep going. It's untenable. There is no federal aid in sight that's coming. And we can only cut the budget of our social services, but so much. until they just don't exist. That's the truth of the matter. He could come out and say the truth of the matter, and we need to do this for the good of the citizenry of New York City, and they will ostracize him for it. His Democrat pals, his progressive pals will ostracize him for it. Unfortunately, it might lock him out of certain political spaces and political rooms that he seems like he wants to get into. But basically, it's I don't give a damn about the citizens of New York. So y'all didn't have enough school safety agents before. Now y'all gonna have 25% less than the not enough that you had. And then again, too, you can read it in the article. I'm gonna talk out of both sides of my mouth. So let me cut down 25% of the budget and the staffing for school safety agents. Let me call on parents to come and volunteer to be school safety agents. If y'all want y'all kids to be safe, y'all want y'all kids to stay safe, y'all gonna have to keep them safe by your damn self. That's basically what he's saying. We're not gonna do it. Y'all got to do it because y'all got to do it. It ain't gonna be us no more. So if something happened, it's going to be because of parents. It ain't going to be because you see how it goes, like how the blame is going to be shifted. It's not going to go, oh, but Eric Adams pulled school safety officers. It's not going to do that. It's going to go, oh, nah, the volunteers weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. Like, it's not my kid. Something else happens. I'm here to look after my kid. Anyway. So not only is he talking that, but then he also goes and then he goes, oh, I'm not ever going to let, the schools be unsafe. That's not going to happen. But then he goes, oh, remember, we don't have school shootings here, because the NYPD keeps it safe and the schools are safe and the this and the that is safe. We don't have that here. My nigga, we have metal detectors in schools. Roosevelt High School had a jail inside of it, had cells in it for kids, because these high school kids was on another level in the Bronx in Roosevelt. I did not forget. It was the wild, wild west in high school out here. For those of y'all who ain't out here or didn't grow up out here, you could go to certain schools and it's the wild, wild west. Gangs, trends, all kinds of wildness. To the point that we have metal detectors. So a lot of these school shooting things going on are in places where they don't have metal detectors. You don't have NYPD officers that actually are there. There were NYPD officers at Stevenson High School. For those of y'all who know what that is, Soundview, where y'all at? NYPD with metal detectors, because we nipped it in the bud. Niggas wanted to come to school with knives. They wanted to come to school with razor blades. Some of them try to come to school with guns. You feel me? Trying to fight in the schools, trying to shoot kids. And we said, nah, fam, y'all want to do this? Y'all want to bring weapons? We got you. NYPD in the schools. School safety officers, metal detectors. Don't play games. So Adams wanted to make it sound like, even in the face of this, wanted to make it sound like, oh, our schools are the safest schools anyway. Ain't no school shooters thanks to the NYPD, thanks to the this, thanks to the But my nigga, we had this thing on lock years before you ever. And in fact, it was worse when Eric Adams was a police officer, because he was in the 80s. And it was wild back then. Wild. Bronx was burning. So he wants to act like he's keeping stuff safe. Nigga, you ain't doing nothing. You ain't done a damn thing. Absolutely not. And that's verifiable. Nigga ain't done a damn thing to keep us safe. So, my rant over. But for those who have children, this is what's going to be happening. They are decreasing the amount of school safety officers by 25%. In fact, and you'll read in the article, they they it was like 250 new school safety officers were going to start work all together, like a new group of academy people. And they relieved them of their duty before they ever got to work because of this. Because Eric Adams said, "No, we don't have the funding." Or no, not that we don't have the funding. We're not going to fund you. So we're not going to release any more funds to have you work. So sorry, you're good. You went through all the training. You went through the transferring. You went through trying to be a safety officer. You can't now. Goodbye. Ain't no job here. There's no seat. There's no place for you to go because ain't no job exists. Oh my Lord. But somehow our schools are supposed to stay safe. It's developing into a powder keg that's set to explode. But yeah, give us your charge report. There's no such thing as an illegal person, illegal human. Okay. All right. People want to live in their imaginary world. They want to live in what is not reality. They want to live in their own reality and disregard what's actually happening so that whatever movie is playing in their head can continue to play out the way that they want it to. Like, nah, man, this is real world here. People are being negatively impacted. The people who need these services, who need it the most, are being negatively impacted. The people that, quote unquote, so many were once activists to try to help and get the government to help, are now the people who are being disregarded and discarded from the system for a set of people of which it is just fashionable to support. And when it stops being fashionable, then we move on to the next thing, and those people will be left destitute. But these are our activists, y'all. These are our progressives, y'all. These are, you know what I'm saying? Something is disconnected. It's just disconnected. Moving on. Oh, and let us know what y'all think in the comments. Let us know what y'all think about this, about Eric Adams, about the beginnings of now social services and city budget being cut and slashed so that we can divert money to housing and helping a people who came to this country but don't even want to actively participate in the way that they're supposed to be actively participating in our country and in our economy, etc. People who came here who seem to want to, by and large, it's a spectrum, but by and large, the largest quantity came here for a handout, to just be given everything and be set up for life. Just be set up. It's very interesting. So, moving on. Marvel. So, I was excited for this film. I talked about it over the past few episodes of the podcast. I was excited for this film, excited for the Marvels. Yeah, and it happened, and I saw it, and I want to say that's not a great film. I'm gonna say it off the bat. Not a great film. It is actually, it makes me, as many others have, it makes me question why Marvel decided to allow this movie to be released, like allowed it to be put out as a final product instead of just, pulling the plug. Just pull the plug. Like it's not only that it's not a good movie, it's indicative of the problems that are happening at Marvel, or problems that seem to be existing in the Marvel Disney studio system. Like it's showing us their ass, kind of. So it's one thing to you released a few flops. It's another thing to release something that is so not it that we kind of now get what's happening with Disney Marvel in terms of the back of house kind of a deal. So I'm wondering why they didn't just pull the plug, take it as a tax write-off, call it a day. Let's call it a day. Leave it alone. I feel like the negative publicity that they would have gotten from pulling the plug on this project and not releasing it does not compare. Like it's so small compared to the flack that they're getting now. Yes, there are people who enjoyed this film, and I'm not going to take anything away from them. You could find enjoyment in this film if you just pulled up and left. Like if you just pulled up and turned your brain off, you could find some enjoyment here. If you're a casual person and is not really critical of movies or anything and just came to be entertained with lights and sounds and Brie Larson because she's hot, you know, or whatever floats your boat. Tiana Paris is beautiful as well. I'm going to refrain from commenting on Vellani's looks because she's pretty young. I don't really know what age she is. I'm not trying to, not trying to go there. But if you're down for that kind of surface level entertainment, it might entertain you. You could follow it. There's some semblance of coherence. It's followable if you really don't care about the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you're not one of those people, I mean, I guess you can. There's some kind of something. There's moments. So I'm not going to knock those people for enjoying it. If you watch it and you turned your brain off and you found some enjoyment in it, okay, that's cool. That's fine. As for me and my house, nigga, don't spend money on this movie. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That's my review. Don't spend money on this film. I'm gonna echo my guy Dan Merle's assessment to that extent. You can skip this one. You can skip it. At this point, it kind of doesn't. There's not so much that has bearings on what's going to happen in the future of the MCU in this film. There are a few things, but it's not like a pivotal film. It's not one that you have to watch. Similar to like they set it up in this film so that you didn't even necessarily have to watch WandaVision to know who Monica Rambeau is, and you didn't have to watch Miss Marvel on Disney Plus to get the gist of who Kamala Khan is. They could have introduced Kamala Khan in this movie the way that they gave you flashback sequences, the way that they gave you the setup for her here. She could have been set up in this movie. She didn't even need a whole show. And as far as I can tell from the numbers, most people didn't even watch that show. A lot of people watched WandaVision. That was a good one. But Miss Marvel, people didn't watch it. It had been so long since the first Captain Marvel film that they had to do a little bit of a recap midway through the movie so that you kind of were reminded of who she is. That's rough. A character that was, in fact, if things went to plan, was going to be one of the figureheads of the next phase of Marvel movies after Endgame. That was the initial plan, that it would be Black Panther, it would be Captain Marvel, it would be Spider-Man taking us into the next phase. And of course, Guardians of the Galaxy. At that point, the ending or the splitting of the Guardians of the Galaxy had not been planned. That's something that evolved just at that time that they did the movie. They were supposed to hang the Marvel Cinematic Universe on Captain Marvel, and it didn't work. Didn't work to plan. I think I've talked about it before, but really quick, that first film, I think, marks the beginning of the cracks, in my opinion. You had some cracks showing in Endgame, but Captain Marvel, which was released between Endgame and Infinity War, Captain Marvel was not a good film either. I don't believe it's Brie Larson's fault. I believe that it really marks the beginning of Marvel Studios / Disney hiring leaning into the idea of hiring smaller directors to helm larger films and write and direct these larger films because they can control them. They're not hiring auteurs who have their own artistic language that will butt heads with corporate, with Kevin Feige, etc. This is when they really leaned heavily into let's get not no names, but let's get low level and give them the reins to this. It marks the beginning of that because the script was not good and the direction was not good, meaning the directors didn't do well in their choices of directing of their choices in directing Brie Larson, who is an Oscar winner, if I'm not mistaken, Oscar nominated. She can act. There were problems with this script. The characterization of Captain Marvel made her unlikable. The sort of feminist agenda that was plugged into that film was not done tastefully. It was done very heavy-handedly. It crept into the advertising for the film, the marketing, very heavy-handed, not done tastefully, not done in a way that really highlights Brie Larson, really highlights a hero, a heroine, and just her altogether characterization was very much so like a plank of wood. We didn't really learn about who Carol Danvers was as a character from that film, even though that's what we should have learned because it was her debut. So it in true fashion, both of these Captain Marvel films are indicative of the problems of Marvel Studios under Disney. And so I say under Disney, we'll go to this portion now. I say under Disney because when Disney buys an IP, they want Disney's a content factory. So when they get an IP, they want to impress their same ideals of churn out content, unlimited growth for the shareholders, churn out content. So they got Star Wars, and that's what they did to it. And that's why Star Wars is trash now. Churn it out. We don't care about the fidelity of the universe. We don't care about the world building. We don't care about the installed fan base. We need you to just have growth over growth. We don't care about what the lore is. We don't care if what you do breaks the lore. We don't give a goddamn. We need money. You know, our quarterly reviews need to be up and up. So no matter what you do, just do that. And so that's why we Star Wars is oversaturated. Not only has their lore been not corrupted, but the lore has been broken down and disintegrated. So there's no real fidelity to the world of Star Wars anymore because we can't really give it any borders anymore. We can't really go, this is Star Wars, this is the world, because so much has been destroyed regarding the lore of Star Wars that it's just kind of an amorphous blob in terms of its identity. It's lost its identity. Horrible scripts, horrible directors, horrible directions all across shows, all across movies. And it's just is what it is. That's Disney's fault. That's Disney's pressure to more. Same thing with Marvel Studios. More. Disney Plus, put Marvel on there. Make shows. Forget the planning, forget the thing. We have to race. We need more. 3 movies a year. More. 3 shows a year. More. Cartoons. More. Merchandise. More. Holiday special. More. We don't care about the quality of the films. We don't care if the quality of the films dip as long as we get the box office revenue. So they stopped giving a damn. Disney after Endgame and starting with Captain Marvel, they didn't give a damn about whether the lore was good, whether the director killed the movie, whether the actor did well and just the acting was crazy, Oscar nominated. They weren't shooting for The Dark Knight anymore. They weren't shooting for top tier superhero, truth, justice, the American way, galvanizing a hero's journey stories. They didn't care. They said, just make the stories, put it out, explosions, special effects. Here's the budget. We need $1 billion banger every single time. That's it. When corporate gets like that, when it becomes corporatized like that, that's where you start losing. So not to say that Marvel as a studio early on was not corporatized at all. I'm not saying that. But to the degree that it is. So you had a balance between the art and corporate. And that's usually a battle because corporate wants to make as much money and corporate tends to be the old heads that think that they know what's cool, but it's not really cool. And then you've got the producers and the production and the artists and so on and so forth that are like, nah, this is the cool direction to go and it's going to be fire. And then the corporate feeling like they have to take a gamble because it's not what they think is going to do well, and so on and so forth. So it's that kind of a tug of war in terms of the film industry, so, and intellectual properties. So Marvel Studios early on, the balance was different between corporatization and production, the art side of it, building out the lore, the world building, all that is in the art side of it. It was a little different. And you had the guy, Kevin Feige, that was the dude in the middle, looking to not alienate those who are into the art side, the fan base, looking to make new fans, looking to pursue the creation of timeless classics in terms of filmmaking, shooting for that Dark Knight, but then also wanting to bring in revenue. This is still a business. He still has to make his wages. Everybody's working here. So the balance was a little bit different during the first few phases during the Infinity Saga. The balance was different, and in not pandering, but in doing things that are cool, doing things that are interesting, really loving characters, really loving characterization. It really, in loving and pursuing the fidelity of the story, it endeared fans to the properties. So even if they had missteps in their films, like a Thor: The Dark World, like an Ant-Man 1, even if they had underperforming films, they wouldn't underperform by a whole lot. They would still make some money, and they were not enough to derail fans' interest in the story because of the fidelity of these characters, the fidelity of the world, the characterizations, the ability to identify with the characters, etc. When you hit Captain Marvel, they don't give a damn no more. I don't know what happened with Kevin Feige and oversight, quality control. I don't know why at that moment with that film, it didn't seem to get the love and attention regarding its story that all the other films did. Because all the other films interlock in some way with everything else, even if it's only a small amount. It's like Thor: The Dark World, only a small amount that interlocks with everything else. It's kind of its own thing. You get lines that interlock with everything else. You know what I'm saying? There's some films that interlock crazy with everything else. You got to watch it, or else this is a pivotal point in the story for everybody that affects everybody. And there's stories that are not the case, that are kind of more they're more standalone and not as connected. But why Captain Marvel didn't get, it seems like it didn't get a guiding hand, like Kevin Feige dropped the ball with paying attention to what was happening with that film. The quality control wasn't there. Whether it was Kevin Feige or whoever else, the story group, whatever it is, they kind of dropped the ball there. They dropped, because they were trying to Captain America her. They were trying to Captain America, Captain Marvel. She was supposed to be a heavy factor in Endgame, but after the release of Captain Marvel, absolutely not. Russo's, there was a script for Endgame where Captain Marvel was all in that movie. All in it. Hold on. Oh, man. Rub my eye here. Captain Marvel was all in that movie, and they changed the script. They wrote her out, which is why she shows up in the beginning, and then she comes back as the cavalry in the end. You don't see her in all the middle. There's a version of that movie where she was all throughout that film as the helper, as the heavy hitter. And they set it up that way because by the end of what? Was it Infinity War? Was it Infinity War? It was like an end credit scene or something where they got Nick Fury's beeper and she showed up like, what do y'all need? She was supposed to be, where's Fury? She was set up to be something huge. And so then we get the sort of like the Captain America, the first Avenger movie right before the first Avengers movie, so that we know who Captain America is, because his thing is a prequel. They tried to do the same thing with Captain Marvel. That's why Captain Marvel is a prequel. Captain Marvel takes place in the 90s with Nick Fury younger, because they meant to hang the phases after the Infinity Saga. They meant to hang those on Captain Marvel. She was meant to be a main person in the way that Captain America was a main person. But that got messed up because that first film was booty. It was booty. I'm sorry. It was booty. You could do great, strong female characters. You could do great, textured performances, textured femininity, a textured feminine perspective without doing what they did with Captain Marvel, without the sort of, not milquetoast, boilerplate. I forget. I'm mixing up my terms in my mind, but without sort of that run of the mill pop wording, pop perspective, disregarding of reality, unbalanced thought process that third wave feminism, is it third wave? I think it's third wave, fourth wave feminism was at that time. It didn't have to be that. I mean, Captain Marvel could have become an iconic female character, forget female, just be a character, just be a great character. She could have been the next Ripley. She could have been the next Sarah Connor. She could have been the next Laura Croft from the Angelina Jolie. She could have been a great character to follow. And I was in for it. I wanted it. I wanted a cool female. Let her be the leader. Let her be like the soldier and see how that affects the feminine mind. Let's see the feminine perspective on that. Let's see how that survives. Let's see what those interactions are with her and the other heroes. I was here for it. That first movie was trash, and I wanted to like it because I want to like all these movies. I come in wanting to like it. I'm coming in hoping that it's fire. But that first movie was trash. So they dropped the ball with that film. No oversight. And that's the beginning of the imbalance between the corporatization of Disney's influence and sort of the company motto and mantra and the art. It became imbalanced now. For whatever reason, Kevin Feige wasn't balancing it. I don't really know what goes on all the way behind the scenes. I don't know, how he might have been held hostage to just allow the things to be what they are, what kind of changes were made that might have been outside of his control. I have no idea, because going all the way throughout the Infinity Saga, it seemed like he loved this. Like he lived to do this. He'd be at the Comic-Cons giving the announcements, and he'd love it. He'd be at the Comic-Cons and they'd have all kinds of stuff organized with the panels, with the actors of these films. And sometimes they'd come in character. I remember when Tom Hiddleston pulled up to San Diego, I think, pulled up to Comic-Con and did a full monologue as Loki in full costume with the music going off and the top light. And it's like, this human race is going to be destroyed. I'm going to subjugate you. It was amazing. When Robert Downey Jr. pulled up in full Tony Stark suit with Tony Stark haircut and thing and had just the hand. I mean, seemed like Kevin Feige loved this. But then we hit Captain Marvel, the first film, and it lacks the flavor. It lacks the sabor. It lacks the consciousness. It lacks it doesn't satiate us. It's like I'm eating a steak, but after I finish eating, it's like I didn't eat nothing. That was to me the first film where that happened. Captain Marvel. It was disjointed. It just didn't make sense. It wasn't sensible. The ways that the characters acted and reacted were not sensible. It's not how people react. We've got to be able to identify with the characters on screen, even if they're aliens. So if we can't empathize, sympathize, we can't identify with a person's reaction, especially a hero. It's like, what is this? What is this? And so I think that's where it first started. So it's wild that we see that as an indication of an imbalance happening there regarding the Disney machine affecting the Marvel Studios process. To now we get to the Marvels with Captain Marvel, which is essentially Captain Marvel 2, and it's showing us basically how imbalanced it is, how imbalanced it has become. I've got a bunch of articles down that I'll put in the description regarding Marvel now finally taking heed because it's hit their bank accounts, which is again corporatized. The balance it's off. So when you're heavily corporatized, it's the only way to really get the content to have higher quality is by hitting the pocketbook, hitting the bottom line, hitting the quarterly earnings. When that starts dipping, then that's when corporate listens, because it's about money when it's balanced in that kind of way. And so that's what has happened. They've released a string. This ain't the first one. A string of flops, a string of financial failures. And the Marvels is the capstone on that. You know, how far the mighty have fallen. Do they want to fall lower? They don't want to fall lower. You know, a slew of trash shows and underperforming shows that didn't really make Disney Plus any money. And a string of films whose budgets were bloated and whose quality did not match the bloated budgets that they had. So Marvel has lost, I want to say, billions of dollars at this point. After the Marvels dropping, billions of dollars. I mean, this made single digits, millions opening night, something like that, which is unheard of for a Marvel film with the budget that this film had. Over the weekend, 40 something million? It is the lowest opening weekend for any Marvel film. And I think that's under Ant-Man. The first Ant-Man had the lowest one previously. This had the lowest one. Now, I don't know if it's going to have legs anywhere, but at this point, it's on track to just be a flop. It is just a flop. Only. Flat out, there's no way to thing it. It's not any kind of misogynistic. It's not some kind of, because it's women. It's not. It's just not a good movie. The advertising wasn't there for it. They barely showed us what this movie was supposed to be. Instead, for the marketing, they tried to bank on the recognition of other better films and other better characters to try and obfuscate what this film was actually about, so that we could come in not knowing what this film was about, not knowing any of the emotions that were going on in this film or anything, because, you know, if they had showed us, then we probably would have said, nah, this is trash. They put a review embargo, so they didn't allow the people to broadcast their reviews after screening the film until like the day before. And I talked about this in the last episode, I think, which is often indicative of a film that the studio does not have confidence in. So people know more things about the film, or the more that they know about this project, the less they're going to want to see it. And so here we go. People did see it. It did make something, but corporate was hitting their pocketbooks now. They were hit in their pocketbooks heavy for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania as well. That represented a serious financial loss. The quality was not good. It was critically divisive. It was not a good film either. And so here we go. They dropped the Marvels, which I think they should not have dropped it, but they did. And polarized. You've got shills or seemingly shills who are like, oh, this is best. This is a triumph. This is IGN giving it like an 8 as a great film. And I'm like, pay to play, pay to win. They're bought and paid for, because anybody can see if you're giving a balanced review as a critic that this film is not a triumph. It's not an 8. I'm sorry. It's not. It's more like a 4, a 3. It's not even average. 4, 3, because even at the filmmaking level, in terms of the editing, it's not good. It's not good. And this is a film that was mired by a whole lot of problems aside from COVID. They'd written the script, then didn't like the script. They'd written it, didn't like the script, then decided to make it into 3 leads instead of 1. Brie Larson didn't like that. Had a whole lot of fights with Marvel, according to the reports, allegedly. Didn't like that she had to play third fiddle to 2 other actresses. There should be a Captain Marvel 2 film. And I understand why, because I'm sure when she signed on, they told her, you're going to be like Captain America, where you're going to be the main character, the main person with main character energy for the next sagas after Infinity Saga. So she's been waiting for them to cash in on that promise, which is why she signed on and has contracts, etc. And none of that has happened. In fact, they've just made her look bad. And she's made herself look bad because around the time of Captain Marvel 1 coming out, she kind of really went head first into third wave, fourth wave feminism, and just went ham. It was almost man hating, man bashing. Like it was just a little overboard in terms of the activist side, and she just kind of alienated a lot of people. So she kind of did some of that to herself for her own image, all on her own. But the film was not her fault, I don't think. I think it's the writers. I think it's Marvel. It's Kevin Feige not oversighting, the directors not directing her well, and the script not being good at all. I mean, there needed to be 4 other drafts of that script. There was a lot of stuff in there that was just absolutely booty water added to the lore that didn't need to be. And lore that's explained in a way, and stories that are added to it of why this is just the way that it is, in the most the most toothless and uninspired lore additions and lore explainers. Like Kevin Feige stopped caring about people thinking it was cool. It seemed. I don't know what it was. I don't know what that is. Or the writer directors thinking like, oh, we don't care if people think that this is cool. We just want to say this and we want to give this message or whatever it is. Wild. But the Marvels is like that. She had a problem with that. They had rewritten it a bunch of times. She filmed it as a trio. It didn't focus group well. It didn't do well when the executives saw it. They went back and reshot it again. Still didn't like it. They went back and reshot it again. This movie has been pushed back like 2 or 3 times from releasing. Reshot a huge portions of it again to change the story again. And then it still didn't test well when they finally got that to test it. And at that point, it was like 2 hours and change, basically feature film length of an average Marvel film. And they were like, are we going to release this? Yeah, we have to release this. Yeah, we're going to release this. But it doesn't focus well. Okay, trim the fat and edit the film down, and then try to test it again. Edited the film down to its current length, which is like an hour and change. It's the shortest Marvel film, and it still didn't test well. I think it tested worse, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. And then they said, instead of taking this L, because we pushed this thing back 2 times, 3 times already, we're going to release it in the state that it's in. So it's edited, it's cut to hell. This film is basically 3 movies edited together. The more that you watch it, because I've watched it twice now, the more that you watch it, the more that the seams of the 3 different iterations or 4 different iterations or what have you of the script and of filming and reshooting are evident. Like you begin to see, oh, this must have been a point where this was a plot point from one of the other iterations of the film that would have been explored, but it doesn't get explored. Oh, this is a point from a different part, a different film. I mean, so it's like 4 films being edited together to try to create some type of interesting and coherent story. But it doesn't do very well if you just sit down and really analyze it. Like once you turn your brain off for this, or once you turn your brain on for this film, it falls apart. Turn it off for the film. Turn your brain on for the film, and the plot doesn't make sense. The characters don't make sense. Why they do what they do don't make sense. The characterizations of some characters are not consistent with their character or the same person in another film, in other films. Continuity isn't there. Plot points don't get picked up. It's a lot. The villain doesn't make sense. It's a lot of stuff. The end credit scene doesn't make sense. It's a lot. Now I'm not going to go to super spoilers this time. I'm going to let a little bit of time pass, a little bit more before I think we're going a little bit too long. But next week I'm going to hit my spoilery. I'm going to rant about it. So if y'all want to see that, pull up. Make sure you go see the movie and pull up with me. Or if y'all don't want to see the movie and y'all just want to hear how trash it is, I'll definitely do a full recap of the film in my rant about this film. I might take that whole episode to rant about the film. We'll see. And just the state of Marvel. But yeah, this is a don't spend your money on it kind of a deal. If you want to, go ahead. You want to turn your brain off. You do what you guys do. But in terms of a Marvel film, like it ain't it. In the hierarchy of Marvel films, I think that this movie is worse than Thor: The Dark World. And Thor: The Dark World is widely considered to be the worst Marvel film. It's like Thor: The Dark World and Ant-Man 1, something like that. or let me say, this one is worse than Thor: The Dark World and Thor: Love and Thunder, because Love and Thunder is down there at the bottom too. It's worse than that, in my opinion, and I'll explain why next week. But Brie Larson is hot. She was beautiful in this film. I really do like how she looks. And Tiana Paris was beautiful in this film. I really do like the way she looks. I mean, absolutely beautiful. Sam Jackson. I like Sam Jackson. I like this version of Nick Fury in this film. He's quippy. I get it. But it seems like he's having fun delivering these lines. And it's like, just let Sam Jackson be Sam Jackson. I'm down. He was just being Sam Jackson in. It seems like he was just being Sam Jackson in Avengers 1, in the Avengers films. Like he wasn't even. He was like serious Sam Jackson, and then little glimmers of like cool side comments would come out. But this is like all side comment, just because of the nature of editing the film down and not getting to breathe and have time with these characters. So naturally, a lot of people critique this as a lot of critics have critiqued this as like, oh, Sam Jackson or this Nick Fury is quippy and he's not supposed to be like this. But in the grand scheme of things, ipso facto, when you have a film that was 2 hours and change now edited down to an hour and change, some of these characters are gonna just feel quippy because you're not gonna spend time with them. They're just gonna have these little baby moments, and you're only gonna experience them from moment to moment to moment to moment because the film is edited so short that things have to move so quickly. So I can give the film I can see it from that place and not really be too harsh in that kind of way. The more that I watched it, I did realize, though, that I'm more understanding towards the film and the circumstances by which the film is presented in the state that it's presented to us. So I have more like sympathy for the actors involved or everybody involved because it was really trash. Not the director, not Nia DaCosta, not the writer, which she is one of the writers, and not Kevin Feige. I don't have sympathy for them. I have sympathy for everybody else involved. The crew, crafting, the grips, everybody. The actresses, main actresses, background actors. I just have more sympathy for them because the more that I watch this, I see how this was just cut up and they're not even really allowed to. All of the performances that they put on in all of these reshoots must have been tiring, must have been taxing. It must have been, oh my gosh, again, I have to do this. Like we didn't get the story right. I liked that version of the script. I thought that was money. Now we got to do this, and then we got to do this, and we got to do that, and now I don't even recognize my character anymore. Like, it's frustrating. As an actor, it's frustrating. Coming back for reshoots, not just because reshoots are a thing, but reshoots that change whole parts of the film multiple times over. Like, oh, we got to film this part again after we already did this part because y'all want a different story, but y'all still want some of the part in half. Like, it gets frustrating. So I have more and more sympathy the more that I keep watching this film. And I will rewatch it again next week so that we could, I know I'm looking away, but I'm kind of like searching my mind, thinking about things, sorting things out as I'm going. But I will watch it again a third time so that I'm ready for my ranting for next week because this is probably one of the longest episodes that we've had. Yeah, so I'll leave it right there. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. If y'all have seen it already, y'all can spoil it in the comments if y'all want to. I've seen it, and if people, I'll give people more time to either decide to go see it or to not go see it and want to hear my assessment of the film and my recap of the film. That's a thing. I'll give y'all some more time for that. So I'll say, do not forget, please like, subscribe, follow, give me star reviews, whatever's appropriate for the platform that you are viewing or listening to this on. Please interact with us in whatever way that is available on that platform. It helps us. It helps the algorithm. It helps us know that y'all are still here. We love to hear from y'all. Comments, reviews. Even if y'all think it's trash, let us know in a review. Let us know in a comment. That's fine. That's absolutely okay. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook at Social Millennial Pod. It's Social Millennial Pod all over Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Spelled the same at Social Millennial Pod, SocialMillenialPod, at Social Millennial Pod. Thank y'all so much for spending this time. In the description of this podcast, whether you're listening to it or whether you're watching it, there are links to all of the stories that I talked about today for this episode. There is for every episode, or at least I try to put for every episode. So y'all can really get to the stories, get down to the nitty gritty of the interesting things that I like to talk about, or the things that interest me that I like to talk about. Y'all can really get that information, really hear from the horse's mouth, really hear the studies, look at the studies. I mean, I don't think I put any scientific journals there, like for the specific papers, but I put articles regarding it that kind of explain it out. Absolutely. So go down to the description of whichever platform that you're using. It should appear there, and you can tap it, click it, and enjoy some good reading. Maybe things that you've never seen before. Thank y'all so much for your time. Remember, there is a homepage link. Sometimes it is written as homepage that is tappable, and sometimes it's homepage with the link under it. Click that, tap that, and you'll be able to get a landing page on your web browser with all of the audio versions of the episodes, in case you just want to listen, and in case you're old school and you don't really ascribe to dealing with advertisements, because this would be the ad-free version of the audio. I think everywhere else it's going to give you ads just because, and I don't benefit from the ads, just to let you know. It's not monetized yet or anything. The audio portion and the video portion certainly isn't. I need you guys to follow and subscribe on YouTube in order for me to be eligible, and really like the episodes and share them so that I can get more views in order to be eligible. Our show isn't eligible yet. So just to let you know, if you go to Spotify, etc., and there are ads, we're not benefiting from those ads in any kind of way at this moment. If you want ad free, I think that's a good way to sell it. If you want the audio ad free, absolutely hit the homepage link in the description, whether it's the YouTube or whatever platform. If you hit show more or description or whatever, it's going to be down there. All right. And you'll be able to listen to the podcast without any ads. It has all the episodes on that landing page, and also the links to clickable icon links to our social media, which please come and follow us on social media, so we can have community. You feel me? Community there. Thank you guys so much for spending this time with me. We vibe out, you feel me? Sometimes I get a little wild, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I stay on my Carlton Banks, and sometimes I don't be on my Carlton Banks, you feel me? But thanks, really. I'm very grateful for y'all watching. I'm very grateful for you guys spending your time. Whoever has made it this far in the episode. This is a long episode. I'm sorry, y'all. Usually don't have episodes this long. But thank you so much. We're developing this platform. We're developing this banner, and the Patreon is coming soon, where we're going to get wild, wet and wild. All right. Wet and wild. I'm telling you, we're going to get wild. We're going to do some really cool. I've got some really cool ideas for the Patreon, for the paid content, for paid subscribers. We will not be charging you an arm and a leg. We're not going to be charging Netflix prices. That's absurd. So just stay tuned for that. All right, y'all. Thank you again so much for spending this time with the Social Millennial Podcast. This has been a great show. Be blessed. Peace.